All right, Dave, we're here at the CCA Workbench,
Yes,
the rigs
we
and
are.
techniques. That's where we are, and we're going to talk a little bit about fly fishing for redfish.
Well, you're going to talk a lot about it.
Okay.
I'm going to feed
Okay,
you
yeah.
some questions, but you're going to talk
Sounds good.
mostly. You know, probably the hardest part about fly fishing is getting started fly fishing. So I know a lot of
That's
people
true.
think it's a little intimidating. Why do you think that is?
You know, it can be intimidating for a couple different reasons. One reason in particular is you can walk into a fly shop and there's a lot of stuff that's different than you would see in a
Right.
regular tackle shop.
That's right.
And a lot of people think that fly fishermen have a stigma about them, that they're a little snooty, but they're really not, man. You go into those fly shops, you talk to those guys in there, and if you tell them that you've never picked up a fly rod, they're going to get really
I've done that
excited.
several times.
They're going to get really excited.
That's actually a good strategy. If you go in there saying, I've never done it before, you're going to get a lot more help than if you go in there trying to tell them what you think you know.
That's right. That's exactly right. So really, you shouldn't be intimidated by it.
Right.
It is hard to learn it for some people, but that whole learning process to me is just as much fun as actually catching the first fish that you get on the fly rod.
It's part of the challenge.
It's part of the challenge.
And once you've caught your 50th or 200th or 300th redfish on a popper or something like that, it's cool to go and try to catch them in a different way.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
and I found that out. I've just now recently started doing some fly fishing in some streams and stuff, and I'm pretty much falling in love with it. And I'm glad you're here to tell us how to catch a redfish.
Well, you know, it's a perfect tool to catch a redfish because what's one of the things redfish eat more than anything else?
Crustaceans, your shrimp and
Small shrimp,
crabs.
small crabs, all that kind of stuff. So you'll see this is one of my fly boxes, and it's everything in there looks like a shrimp or a crab.
Right.
So you know, being able to present something. Let's pick this guy up.
Okay.
So this little crab fly. So when you've got a shallow water redfish and he's eating small crustaceans, sometimes it's hard to present even a small soft plastic because it makes a big splash. So
Right.
this is really a perfect
Especially if
tool
they're in
to
real
use.
shallow water.
If they're in really shallow water. This is a perfect tool to put this little fly in front of a redfish without him knowing that you're doing it. And because it looks so lifelike, he's probably going to eat it.
And these look a lot more lifelike than a lot of the lures and stuff that we use. A lot of the things I throw at redfish, I'm thinking they've never seen anything that's ever
That
looked
looks like
like
that at
that.
all.
Why
Right.
would they eat it? But all of this stuff kind of in the water looks like what they eat.
It does. I mean, and you know, that's another side of fly fishing is you can get into tying your own flies. And when you're doing that, you can get real creative with them, really make some of these flies guys are tying now. I mean, you really can't tell the difference between
Right.
the real stuff and the fly. But
Right.
this fly right here is probably one of my favorite ones to toss for a redfish. This is basically a version of a gurgler, is what they call it.
Right.
It's a topwater fly. It pushes water. It's like a little popper, basically.
That's another thing when you're trying to catch redfish, especially on topwater stuff. If you're using a plug, a lot of times they'll come up and they'll push that bow wave will push a plug out of the
Right.
way. That thing's probably not going to move much, is it?
No, this is a perfect size for him to be able to really eat it, and it's not going to be able to push this out of the way. And it's one of the coolest things that I've done in redfish, and to watch him come up and eat this thing. I mean,
Right.
it is a little tougher to toss because it's a bigger profile and it's got some foam on it. So you know, if you're just starting out, it might be kind of tough, but real popular these days and a lot of fun to toss this guy.
So if you're just starting out, what kind of outfit are you going to try to look for, you think? What size?
So, you know, if you're really talking redfish, probably anywhere from a 7 weight to an 8 or 9 weight. This is an 8 weight that I have here. This is probably the best, you know, in between.
Middle of the road there?
Yeah, you know, an 8 or 9 is going to be easier to toss when it's windy. It's going to be a little easier to get the line out there. So you might do that. And you also can overline these reels a little bit. So if you get a 7 weight rod, you can put an 8 weight or even a 9 weight line on there.
Right.
And that also will make it a little easier to cast. But really, as far as getting out there and actually fishing and learning how to cast, find somebody that knows how to do it. Most of the shops are going to have an instructor,
Right.
or go with a guide. You know, all these guys that guide in saltwater, the majority of them know how to toss a fly rod, and they're going to be able to help you out a lot.
So what kind of, I mean, you know, you see a lot of these guys on TV doing bonefish and tarpon, they're casting 100 feet and stuff.
Right.
That's really not what you have to do to catch redfish, because really?
Yeah, you know, so well, you know, the part of the beauty of fly fishing for redfish is a lot of times the shots that you have are going to be really close to the boat, which is why they make redfish specific lines. So make sure if that's what you're going to be fishing for, you get a specific line for it. These are real head-heavy lines, which makes it really easy to make a short cast. Now you can, I mean, once you get good at it, it's fun to get that 100-foot cast out there.
Right.
But you know what? It's also fun to be able to just make a short cast and watch the whole thing go down right there in front of you. And that's the beauty of fly fishing for redfish, is you can get so close to them a lot of times, whether you're waiting or if you're in a skiff.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, thanks for filling us in.
Yeah, man. Get out
Yep.
there and do some fly fishing.
I'm gonna
Brie.
do it.
Have you done it?
I haven't, but I have to say, you guys are looking pretty fly over there at the CCA Workbench. Okay, moving on. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. This week we have Tommy Derringer filling in for Captain Rick Murphy, and we also have Dave looking great in his glasses.
Love it.
Love it, and his Costas, looking so professor-like. Anyways, check us out. Make sure you subscribe to the Texas Insider Fishing Report, like and comment, and we will see you this week.